Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we are trekking into the icy mountains. We're going to explore Fortress of the Frost Wyrm. Now I know what you were thinking, another Frost Wyrm. How original. But trust me, this adventure module has a few tricks up its sleeve, starting with how it's presented. We're not just diving into the lore here. We are met with talking magic items.
It's a brilliant move by the designer. Right from the start, we are introduced to a Magus mirror and a sassy spellbook. They bicker about their roles in creating this adventure.
Oh, it's delightful. The spellbook especially has some serious opinions about who deserves credit for the finer points of Frost Wyrm design.
What's fascinating is that it's not just about a bit of fun. By incorporating humor into the introduction, the designer subtly sets the tone for the whole adventure. It's an immediate signal to players and dungeon masters that while there are thrilling challenges ahead, there's also room for lightheartedness and fun.
It's like the designer is winking at you saying, get ready to have a good time with this one. Okay, so we've got these hilarious magical items setting the stage. Give us the lowdown on the adventure itself.
Imagine your players hear whispers of a fortress that materialized overnight, shrouded in ice and snow high in the remote peaks. Rumors swirl. A powerful frost worm has claimed the region, its icy breath blanketing the land in eternal winter. Some whisper of a hidden witch with the key to surviving the cold, while others speak of ancient treasures buried within the fortress walls.
Okay, I'm hooked already, but this isn't just a straight dungeon crawl, right?
Right. It's a hex crawl, which is a style of adventure that gives players more freedom to explore. Imagine a map divided into these hexagonal sections, each with its own unique location encounter or mystery to unravel. Instead of a linear path, players get to chart their own course, deciding which leads to follow and which challenges to tackle.
I love that. It really puts the power in the players' hands. It forces them to make strategic decisions about where to go and what to prioritize. So what kind of intriguing locales might they stumble upon on this hex-crawling adventure?
Well, the fortress itself is a maze of icy tunnels and treacherous chambers. But there are multiple entry points, each with its own risks and rewards. Maybe they try to scale the sheer ice wall, risking a deadly fall, but potentially finding a secret passage. Or perhaps they brave the main gate guarded by creatures fiercely loyal to the frost worm.
High risk, high reward. That's what makes these hex crawls so engaging. What else?
One hex might lead them to an abandoned mining camp. Now, this could be a simple resource gathering opportunity, or they might stumble upon clues to the frost worm's weakness. Hidden journals from previous expeditions, or even remnants of a powerful artifact lost of the ages.
I can already see my players geeking out over cryptic clues and ancient lore. You mentioned a witch earlier. Is she a potential ally?
Melidrix the Twisted Witch. She's a bit of a wild card. The module describes her as a being of immense power, but questionable motives. Maybe she helps the party navigate the frozen waste, or maybe she sees them as pawns in a much larger game. Her allegiance is entirely up to the DM to decide.
Oh, I love that. A character shrouded in mystery, capable of aiding or hindering the party depending on their choices and how they approach her. It adds a whole layer of intrigue to the adventure.
Exactly. And remember that tempting shortcut we talked about. Let's just say it involves a rather unstable portal to the elemental plane of air. It could shave days off their journey or strand them in a realm of howling winds and capricious elementals.
High risk, high reward, classic hex crawl stuff. It sounds like players are going to have some tough choices to make right from the get-go. But eventually they're going to have to confront the Frost Wyrm itself right, which means venturing into the fortress.
And that, my friend, is where the real fun begins. The dungeon design in Fortress of the Frost Wyrm is top-notch. We're not talking about a bunch of square rooms with monsters randomly placed inside. Each chamber is meticulously crafted, brimming with atmosphere, and designed to challenge players in different ways.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What makes these dungeon rooms so special? Give me a taste of what awaits those brave adventurers.
Let's start with the puzzle gate. Instead of just bashing their way through, players need to decipher a series of ancient runes and levers.
Oh, I can see it now. The party gathered around this ancient gate, frantically flipping through dusty tomes, arguing about the correct order of symbols. It's moments like these that create lasting memories around the table. But what about those who prefer a more direct approach? Who like to live on the edge?
For them, there's the treasury. We're talking mountains of gold, glittering gems, weapons that shimmer with an otherworldly light. But of course, it wouldn't be a proper treasury without a few surprises.
There's always a catch. So what are we talking about here? Deadly traps, hidden guardians?
Both, actually. The document mentions cleverly concealed pressure plates that trigger dart launchers or collapsing ceilings. And to really up the ante, there's a mimic disguised as a treasure chest, just waiting to make a meal out of a greedy adventurer.
Classic. It's a reminder that even in the midst of unimaginable wealth, danger lurks around every corner. But not every room has to be a death trap, right? What about those moments when players just need to catch their breath, maybe soak in the atmosphere?
The feasting hall is a great example. Imagine a long, cold hall, remnants of massive feasts strewn across the table. It's not an active combat arena, but it's dripping with atmosphere. Players can examine the bones of creatures, both mundane and fantastical, hinting at the Frost Wyrm's raw power. But be careful.
Oh, I know that tone. What's the catch?
Those with a keen eye might notice the food is subtly poisoned. It's a small detail, but it adds a layer of realism and emphasizes the dangers of this frozen wasteland.
It's all about the details. They elevate a good dungeon to a truly memorable one. Now we've explored the dungeon outsmarted traps and maybe even sampled some questionable dragon cuisine. But what about the final encounter? The Frost Wyrm itself.
Get ready for an epic showdown. The Frost Wyrm's lair is described as this massive cavern sculpted by ice and wind over millennia. Icicles hang from the ceiling like teeth, and the air crackles with the worm's chilling presence.
Sounds suitably intimidating. Any hints about its power level? What makes this Frost Wyrm a memorable adversary?
Let's just say this is no pushover. The document emphasizes the worm's intelligence and cunning. This isn't just some mindless beast driven by instinct. It's a creature of ancient power, with a chilling presence and a breath weapon that can freeze adventurers solid with a single blast.
Okay, so we need to be prepared to strategize, not just hack and slash our way through this encounter.
Absolutely. And here's a twist that caught my eye. The Frost Wyrm has a wife.
Hold on. Oh, wife? Now that's not something you see every day. It's brilliant.
It adds a whole new dimension to the encounter. Does she fight alongside her mate? Does she have her own motivations, her own goals in this conflict? It's a detail that can completely change the dynamic of the final showdown.
I'm already brainstorming ways to play that up. A Frost Wyrm power couple. Sign me up. Okay, so we've got this amazing fortress, a terrifying yet strangely relatable Frost Wyrm. But wait, there's more.
This adventure module is incredibly generous. It includes a second dungeon, the Temple of the Moon, offering a completely different experience for players who want more.
2 dungeons in 1. Now that's what I call value. Tell me more.
Imagine a crumbling temple bathed in moonlight, dedicated to a long-forgotten lunar deity. The atmosphere is one of eerie silence, haunted beauty, and forgotten secrets. It's a stark contrast to the raw, icy power of the Frost Wyrm's lair.
I love that. It gives the DM the opportunity to create a more nuanced campaign, weaving in themes of faith, ancient civilizations, and the balance between nature's fury and divine grace. What are some of the highlights of this moonlit temple?
Well, there's the Hall of Whispers. Imagine your player stepping into a vast chamber, its walls covered in faded murals depicting scenes of lunar rituals and ancient prophecies. The air crackles with energy, and whispers seem to emanate from the very stones themselves.
Okay, that's creepy. I can already see my players getting nervous, clutching their weapons a little tighter.
But it's not all spooky whispers and unsettling vibes. There's also the Chamber of Reflections, where players can consult an oracle pool for visions of the past, present, or future.
Oh, divination magic. Always a fan favorite.
But there's a catch. To receive a clear vision, they'll need to decipher a series of lunar symbols, each representing a different aspect of the moon's cycle.
So another puzzle. I love that this adventure module keeps challenging players in different ways. It's not just about combat. It's about exploration, problem solving, and unraveling mysteries.
Exactly. And for those moments when players need a break from the tension, there's the Silent Sanctuary.
A sanctuary in a ruined temple.
Yes. Imagine a hidden garden untouched by the decay that surrounds it. Moonlight filters through the leaves, casting intricate patterns on the mossy ground. The air hums with a sense of peace and tranquility, offering a brief respite from the dangers that lurk elsewhere in the temple.
It's like a breath of fresh air. I can already picture my players using this as a place to heal their wounds, collect their thoughts, and prepare for the challenges that lie ahead. It's such a clever way to break up the tension and give players a moment to regroup.
And who knows? Maybe they'll find a clue or two hidden amidst the tranquility. After all, even the most peaceful places can hold secrets.
True. Now, we've talked about the setting, the challenges, and even a little bit of the atmosphere, but it wouldn't be a proper Dungeons & Dragons adventure without some fearsome foes to battle, right?
Absolutely. And Fortress of the Frost Wyrm doesn't disappoint. In fact, it introduces some truly unique monsters that will test even the most seasoned adventurers.
Okay, give me the rundown. What kind of creatures are we talking about here?
Well, remember, the Frost Wyrm's connection to the icy wilderness. It manifests in some truly terrifying ways. One example is the Frostfang ice troll.
Okay, the name alone is intimidating. Just your average troll, but with added frostbite?
Not quite. They're bigger, stronger, and their icy breath can freeze an adventurer solid in an instant. Imagine the look on your players' faces when they realize they're facing a creature that can turn their blood to ice.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. But these trolls aren't just mindless brutes, are they?
No, and that's what makes them interesting. They're fiercely loyal to the Frost Wyrm, almost fanatically so. It adds a layer of complexity to the encounter. Do players try to reason with them appeal to their sense of loyalty? Or is a direct confrontation the only option?
It's always more interesting when the monsters have motivations beyond just kill the adventurers. It opens up opportunities for role-playing, strategic thinking, and maybe even a little bit of diplomacy, even if it's a long shot. It's not a proper adventure without some new monsters to fight, right? And this one delivers.
Oh, this one delivers. And what's notable is that they're not just stat blocks. The document gives you their ecology, their backstory, even what the witch thinks of them. It really fleshes out the world.
Speaking of the witch, remind me, who is she again?
The document mentions her a few times. Melidrex, the Twisted Witch. Seems like she's crossed paths with the Frost Wyrm before. And it didn't end well for her. But she's got knowledge, and that's always valuable.
Okay, so who are these new monsters we're facing? Give me the rundown.
Well, first up, we have the Frostfang Ice Troll.
Ooh, just the name sounds intimidating. What makes this more than just your average troll?
It's got this chilling frost breath that can freeze opponents solid. Imagine your players facing that. Plus, they're fiercely loyal to the Frost Wyrm, adding another layer of danger.
All right, so we've got the ice trolls as muscle. But what about the big bad itself, the Frost Wyrm?
This is a truly fearsome creature. It's got a unique breath weapon, think icy shards, not just a cone of cold. Plus, it has layer actions that can alter the battlefield, creating icy fog or summoning ice elementals.
Sounds like a battle that will test even the most experienced adventurers. What about personality? Is this just a mindless beast, or is there more to it?
The document emphasizes its intelligence. This isn't some mindless beast. It's a cunning ancient creature with its own motives and a regal presence.
I'm always a fan of monsters with personality. Makes the encounter so much more memorable. But fighting is only half the fun, right? What about loot? What kind of treasures await those who brave the fortress and the temple?
Well, of course, there's the standard gold and gems. But what's interesting here are the unique items. These aren't just your typical +1 sword. They've got flavor. They've got stories attached to them.
Okay, give me some examples. What kind of items are we talking about?
Well, you've got the Frostbrand sword, of course. But there are variants, each with its own unique properties and origin story.
Ooh, I like that. Options for players to customize their loot. What else?
There's the Snowflake Pendant. It grants the wearer the ability to cast a spell. I believe it's Snowball Swarm.
That's fun. Perfect for a little icy revenge. Any other items that stand out?
We can't forget the Glacial Blades of the Winter's Dance. These aren't just boots. They're enchanted to let the wearer glide across ice with incredible speed and agility.
Sounds like something straight out of a fantasy ice skating competition. I love it.
There's also the Frost Wyrm scale. It's a material component for crafting. A mesh in the possibilities.
All right, this is getting good. But you know what would really take this adventure to the next level?
Don't tell me.
A new playable class. And guess what? This document delivers.
You're talking about the Frost Knight.
All right.
I have to admit, I was impressed by this addition. It's not just a reskin fighter. It's a class that truly embodies the themes of the adventure.
Okay, I am officially excited. Give me the details. What kind of warrior are we talking about?
The Frost Knight is a master of ice and snow. They wield a Frostbrand sword, wear a snowflake pendant, and can even use ice skates to gain a tactical advantage in combat.
Ice skates in combat. Now that's just cool.
Exactly. It's not just about mechanics, it's about flavor, about creating a unique character that feels at home in this frozen world.
All right, hit me with the key features. What makes a Frost Knight stand out from your typical warrior?
Well, first there's their connection to the Frostbrand sword and the snowflake pendant. These aren't just pieces of equipment, they're integral to the class's abilities. Then you have the Frostbite fighting style, which allows them to inflict extra cold damage and slow their enemies. And of course the ice skates. Not just for getting around, but for maneuvering in combat. It really adds a unique dimension to their fighting style.
So they can zip around the battlefield, leaving a trail of frosty destruction in their wake. I like it. But let's talk progression. What does a level 1 Frost Knight look like? What about a level 20?
At level 1, they receive their Frostbrand sword and snowflake pendant, immediately establishing their icy theme. As they progress, they unlock potent ice spells. Imagine a level 5 Frost Knight cloaking themselves in armor of agathes for defense, then unleashing a devastating cone of cold on their enemies.
So they're a blend of martial prowess and icy magic, which is awesome. What about their ultimate potential? What does a level 20 Frost Knight bring to the table?
At level 20, they ascend to become a Frost Lord, a true embodiment of winter's wrath. They gain incredible mastery over ice and snow, conjuring blizzards at will, launching deadly shards of ice. They essentially become a force of nature.
That's epic. This isn't just fighting with ice magic, it's becoming a storm of frozen power. Now, a good class needs options for specialization, right? Tell me about the Frost Knight archetypes.
There are 3 distinct paths a Frost Knight can take, each focusing on a different aspect of icy combat. For those who like to stand firm as an unbreakable wall, there's the Glacier archetype. Imagine them bolstering their defenses with layers of ice, becoming a nearly impenetrable shield for their allies.
The ultimate tank, love it. What about those who prefer a more aggressive approach?
They might be drawn to the Blizzard archetype. They embrace speed and ferocity, becoming a whirlwind of ice and fury. Picture them darting across the battlefield, leaving a trail of frozen devastation in their wake.
Okay, that's a terrifying but awesome visual. And the last archetype?
The Avalanche archetype is for the tacticians, those who prefer to control the battlefield. They manipulate the very terrain with their mastery over ice and snow, creating walls for cover, encasing enemies in ice, or unleashing devastating avalanches to crush their foes.
So we've got the immovable object, the unstoppable force, and the cunning tactician. The options for character creation here are amazing. I feel like we've only scratched the surface of this adventure module. What are some of your final thoughts on Fortress of the Frost Wyrm?
This module is more than just a collection of encounters and stat blocks. It's an invitation. The level of detail in the descriptions, the intriguing backstories for even minor creatures the way the Hex Crawl opens up player agency. It all adds up to a truly immersive experience.
It's a reminder that good adventure design is about creating a world that feels alive, a world that players want to explore and make their mark on.
Exactly. And with Fortress of the Frost Wyrm, you're not just running an adventure, you're crafting a story.
Yeah.
You're giving players the tools to create their own legends amidst the icy peaks and frozen wastes.
Well said. So to wrap things up, Fortress of the Frost Wyrm is more than just your average dragon-slaying adventure. We've got compelling characters, a unique setting, and intriguing challenges, and even a brand new class to play. It's clear the designer put a lot of love and care into this module, and it shows.
Don't forget that incredible sense of humor woven throughout. It's a good reminder that even in the face of epic challenges, there's always room for a little bit of fun.
Absolutely. Fortress of the Frost Wyrm is a fantastic addition to any Dungeon Master's toolkit. And for all you listeners out there, what kind of Frost Knight would you create? What legendary treasures lie hidden in your version of the Frost Wyrm's lair? Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep those dice rolling.